Raikan Topani is for Thai drama lovers only. Sawadiha, hello and welcome to Axelle's Guide to Thai Dramas. I'm Axelle, and the Thai drama we're talking about today is Spare Me Your Mercy. So, Spare Me Your Mercy was one of the shows that I was looking the most forward to in 2024, and did it really serve what I wanted it to serve? In parts, yes. We're going to talk about that. So as always, let's start with the first impression that I had of the show. So I don't exactly remember when I became aware that this show was in the makings. I believe that I knew first that this show would happen before I knew the cast. And for me, the cast was extremely important. I know that this author, Salmon, is very huge. She wrote Manner of Death and she wrote Triage, both shows that I really liked. Manner of Death that I should probably rewatch. I mean, I will definitely make an episode on it. I know that I enjoyed the show, but for me it hasn't been like one of my ultimate favorite BLs like it's been for many people. And I love Triage. I think I might honestly prefer Triage a little bit more, but maybe it's because I have a little bit more attachment to the pairing, because I like them from Two Moons, the original show. So yeah, I have a history with this author that I like her books, and I also like the adaptations that they do of her books. Now, the real first impression where I really started getting excited for the show is when Jailer and Tortanapub were announced as the leads. Now, I have a long history of loving both of these actors. Let's start with Jailer because he's definitely been, of the two, the one that I liked first. So Jailer, for me, I became aware of him very early on. So as you know, I've been watching Thai dramas for now 8 years. And because of that, I stumbled onto Jailer pretty early on. Now, Jailer was part of Nadao Bangkok, in my opinion, the best production company that Thailand had. I am still not over the fact that they released their biggest project, which was I Told Sunset About You and I Promised You the Moon. Literally made their lead actors in those shows huge music stars and then fucking shut down. I will never get over that. I've always been more of a GMMTV girly. Because GMMTV has always put out more content, more concerts, more fan mix, more things for their artists. However, Nadao, in terms of quality of their series, was way better than GMMTV. I think no one will fight me on that. And so, for me, I was aware of Jailer. I think the first role I've ever seen him in was in Diary of Tootsies, a show that I love so much. I didn't love the sequel movie. I feel like, so Jailer, if you don't know, plays the love interest of the main character of the show, and in the movie they make basically in the second season and in the movie they always made the main character play by Pech Pao Pech, who is honestly a really good actor. I really like him as well. And so he was playing his love interest, but always they would never end up together. It was the case in season 2. It was also the case in the movie, which is why I don't like the movie, especially Tootsies and the Fake, because Jailer is kind of the main attraction of that movie, and they don't even end up together. I will never understand. Anyways, little rant over. So this is when I discovered JJ, or Jailer, as I call him, because he has always early on taken on queer roles. Fun fact, I discovered that later on, but he was in a short story with Fluke. I never know how to pronounce his last name. I'm so sorry. Fluke, Natouch. If you know how to pronounce it, please tell me in the comments. Because I will always, I want to pronounce it in a French way, like Fluke Natouche, like what the fuck, doesn't make sense. I know he's not called like this. So if you know how he's called, please tell me. But anyways, and they literally played a ship in that short film produced by Change, which was a channel owned by GMMTV. Like basically it became GMMTV. And in these short films, there were so many actors that are now huge. I remember there's Panpan Sutata, there's Fiat Patadon, there's Plumpurim, like there's so many of them. And so anyways, all of that to say, one of the reasons why I've always loved Jailer is that he's always taking on queer roles, not BL roles, queer roles. Technically, this is kind of his first like BL role. And this doesn't even feel like, I don't think anyone who's watched Spare Me Your Mercy really feels like it's BL. It doesn't really have any codes that make it feel like it fits with the BL genre, apart from it being Thai and a gay story, which does make it BL ultimately, because all of those stories, all of these series are considered BL in Thailand. But apart from that, it's really different from other BL shows for sure. And I also loved, one of my favorite characters of all time, really, I'm not exaggerating, is Tengmo from Great Men Academy. Great Men Academy for me is one of my oldies in a way. I think it was released in 2018, and he was a ship with another actor that I really love, James Tiradon. So for me, like, if you ask me my top like 5 actors from Nadao, it would be Tortanapop, Jailer, James Tiradon, and the first one is Pachayane. She's my queen. She's my love of my life. I'm obsessed with her. And then there is Nonkun Chanon. There's also Pipi and Birkin, but I didn't see much of them. Like, I've seen them acting only in I Told Sunset About You and My Ambulance, so that's why they're not in my top 5. But they are in my heart, always, of course. So to go back to Jailer, I absolutely love Tengmo in Great Men Academy. He's a pansexual character openly. He has a whole like outing / coming out storyline, which is so heartfelt. And I just adore this character. He's just so cool. He's funny, sassy, like he has everything. I adore Tengmo. He's to this day one of my favorite characters of all time. Definitely one of my favorite bisexual / pansexual characters of all time. Without a doubt. So this is kind of when my love for Jailer was kind of cemented in my heart. I was like, oh, okay, I love this guy. And recently Jailer has also been in Analog Squad, which was my favorite show, spoiler alert, of 2024. That show made me feel, made me cry. It's like just a show made for me. Like, it's found family trope. It's just so good. If you are open to this show, I think you'll really like it. It's so good. But wait for the episode on it. It's coming very soon. All of that to say that for me, JJ has always done great roles. I think he's honestly a very underrated actor. I think he has a lot of range. I love him in comedies. I think he has like a little bit like Of Jumpon. Like, I've always a little bit like compared them, and I've always dreamt that they would play brothers one day, because not only do they look a little bit similar, but also they are just so like, both of them have such a great range, especially for comedy, of facial expressions, and I just love Jailer. Also, apart from acting, I love Jailer as an artist. So if you don't know that, actually Jailer and Thor were both in a boy band at the time of Great Men Academy called 9x9. And 9x9 I liked, but I do love Jailer more as a solo rapper. I think Jailer is genuinely a really great rapper. He's been in my top artist on Spotify, in Spotify Wrapped, almost every year. His song Empty King, didn't love it at first, but honestly it's become one of my favorite songs of all time. I've listened to it like thousands of times at this point. I love his song Sorry. I love everything about like his rapping. I love him. Honestly, I do think in terms of international fans, I might be the biggest fan of his like music. I'm obsessed with him. I love his music. And I think he deserves more. In my opinion, he should have been like a big deal in the T-pop scene, because he's a slay. He's a slay. So this is also why I love Jailer, is I love him both in shows, but I also love his music. Obviously, I adore him. Then we go on to Tortanapop. Tortanapop for me was a little bit more of a slow burn. I've always liked him, and I've always seen his potential. Thor, for me, he kind of like got his career from Hormones, the OG Thai series. where he was a ship with Kausu Pasara. And I'm gonna be honest, they were huge from all this season ensemble cast show, okay? But these, like, Thor and Cow were the ship from that show, especially the first season. Like, they were the it couple. And they were a couple, but they weren't a couple on screen. And so, because of that, like, personally, I've never understood it. For me, they were some of the weakest characters in season 1 of Hormones. I literally didn't care for them at all. I know it's gonna be an unpopular opinion, but frankly, that's my truth. I have to speak my truth, okay? So, but the thing with Thor is that he has really won me over in the past few years. I loved him in Family We Trust, which JJ was also in Family We Trust. It's so funny because when the show was first announced, Spare Me Your Mercy, I was like, what the fuck? They're gonna make JJ and Thor a pairing? When they played in Family We Trust, they play cousins. They play cousins who fight over the same girl, who's played by Tanung. Tanung, who's JJ's real life girlfriend. I think they've been together for like 7 or 8 years now. So all of that to say that when this ship was announced, my jaw was on the fucking floor, because I was like, they played cousins, now they're gonna play lovers? Okay. They were in the same band, the same T-pop band, 9x9, which was huge in Thailand. I was just like, wow, the world is so small, you know. But for Thor especially, I think he's really won me over in the past few years. I loved him in Family We Trust, and I love JJ in that as well. I loved him in Hua Jai Sila, which is, in my opinion, one of the best Lacorns ever made. He's so good in that. And more recently, I loved him in My Cherry Amour. I'm saying it with the English accent because even though it's a French title, girl, it makes no sense. Anyway, an episode on My Cherry Amour is coming very, very soon, okay? You don't have to wait long. All of that to say that My Cherry Amour made me fall bad. And this was only in 2024. So when Spare Me Your Mercy got announced and the teasers got released, I was like, I'm sad. I was already sad, but I'm even more sad now. Okay. I was extremely excited. So this was my first impression. Apart from that, I didn't really know anything about the plot. I didn't know anything about anything. Now let's get into the synopsis. The synopsis of the show, very simply put, we have Wassan or Chu, played by JJ or Jailer, and he is a police officer, and he has his mother has been kind of dying of, like, I forgot which kind of cancer, but of cancer, and he finally bit the bullet and asked to transfer to his mother's town to be able to see her in her final moments. Now, on the day that he arrives in town to see her, she passes away. So obviously he's distraught. He's like, fuck, I've already moved here. I've already transferred. Now my mom is dead. And immediately he starts, and this is kind of where this show is very interesting. He starts kind of feeling a little bit shady about Dr. Gunn, played by Thor Tanapop. Now, the reason why it's that is because when Wassan was driving to go see his mother, he got into an accident and he saw a black hooded figure. And so from the get-go, we have Wassan, who is a little bit suspicious of Dr. Gunn. But at the same time, Dr. Gunn is trying to get closer to him. So this is the very, very basic synopsis. Basically, we can talk about it right now. You know, these episodes of my podcast always spoil kind of the whole show. It's that what I found interesting the most in this show is that from the get-go, we kind of know that Dr. Gunn is, quote-unquote, the killer. Now, obviously, this show does argue whether euthanasia is killing or not, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But it's very interesting because usually these kind of shows, we have this love story between Dr. Gunn and Tiu, and you're gonna be like, oh, okay, So Tio is gonna be in the dark for the whole show. Like, he will just learn about it in the end, and it will be a huge, like, climax scene, and it will be huge, like, drama. But in that way, the show kind of changes our expectations, because from the get-go, we as the viewers know that Dr. Gunn is shady as fuck, and we know that Wasan thinks the exact same thing about Dr. Gunn. But slowly and surely, of course, Dr. Gunn is gonna kind of break the walls around Tio's heart, and they're gonna fall in love, basically. Now, for the characters, let's start with Tio. Tio is kind of the main character. I think he's very understated. He's kind of has this, like, straight, like, poker face way about him. You're kind of like, oh wow, he doesn't really feel any emotion. Like, he's very inexpressive. And again, if you heard me about my love for Jailer, you know that, again, I love his great facial expressions. Now, it's true that this show is lacking his great facial expressions, but in a way that works, in my opinion. It works a lot, because that's the way that Tio as a character is meant to be. And I think it especially worked with the writing of the show, because, again, we suspect Dr. Gunn from the beginning. So we're like, oh, we get exactly why Tio is being a little bit cold, a little bit poker-faced, because we're like, he doesn't trust Dr. Gunn, and we don't trust him either, you know. So Tio, in my opinion, is quite... He's not, like, likable. You're not gonna be like, oh, Tio, so cute. But he's quite a relatable character, which is interesting, because I almost never relate to cops. But yeah, I honestly liked him, and we'll talk about the acting, but I think the acting here was really good for Tio. Now, for Gunn. Of course, Dr. Gunn carries the whole show. Let's be clear about that. Okay, Dr. Gunn, first of all, we're like, okay, from the beginning, he's shady as fuck. He's, like, cute. And the thing with Tortanapop, I swear this man has been winning my heart in 2024. This was Tortanapop's year. Oh, damn. He was, like, he made his way into my heart for real. Damn, I love that man. But in this role, he's so cute. It's his first, like, queer role on screen. And I think he ate up. And the thing with Dr. Gunn is that he is, like, again, killing people. But he's also, like, sassy and fun and makes the cutest expressions. I swear to God, you guys, the number of time where Dr. Gunn said a pickup line and I literally squealed as if it was meant for me. Okay. Like, literally, when Dr. Gunn confessed his feelings for Tio and said, it's your fault. Why did you have to be so cute? Bitch, I was screaming. Head in my pillow, literally. Ah! Yeah. I swear. Oh my God, he's so cute. So, I do think that Dr. Gunn in every way kind of carries this show. And because, again, we follow him trying to escape the log, trying to escape the fact that he's gonna get caught eventually, and also falling in love with you. So it's just very interesting in my opinion. And I really love Dr. Gunn. Now, after Dr. Gunn, we have Pion, which is a nurse in the hospital that Dr. Gunn works in. And from the get-go, we can see she is also acting a little bit suspicious, and we can see she is basically the accomplice of Dr. Gunn. We learn later on that it's because her own husband was in palliative care, so was dying, and she almost euthanized him herself, but then Dr. Gunn helped her euthanize him in the best conditions possible, where he didn't suffer. So she kind of owes Dr. Gunn, and she also believes in euthanasia. And I love this actress. I've seen her in so many roles. I feel like it's always, especially for roles that are played by actors more that over 40, there's the same like 20 actors that are in every fucking shows, and I love all of them. Okay, they are icons. I've seen them in all of the shows. They play either the parents, the nurses, the whatever. Like, I love them. Then we have Boss. Boss is a pharmacist in the hospital, and he is played by one of my favorite actor in terms of acting. I don't know anything about him personally his personality, who he is as a person at all, but he's an actor that I've been looking up to for a long time, you guys. He's called M. Bhumipat, and he was in Girl From Nowhere. He was in Analog Squad also. He was in Hunger, the movie on Netflix. He was also in a movie, also on Netflix. If you have Netflix, go watch it right now. It's so good. Called Doy Boy. It's a movie that I watched last year. If you like the styles of Pinucci, who made Not Me, I have to mention Not Me at least once an episode. I'm sorry. It's very similar to that. It's queer. It's like gritty. It's a little bit sad, but for me, it's a movie that honestly has stayed with me a lot. And his performance, this actor in this movie, was really good. The thing with this actor is that every time I see him show up in a movie, in a show, he's not famous. I mean, I don't think he's famous either in Thailand or anywhere, but he's everywhere, especially in like Netflix shows and like big productions, because everyone can see how good of an actor he is. He is excellent. The thing, this guy, again, I saw him for the first time in Girl From Nowhere. This is the episode called Sotus. Nothing to do with Sotus the series, but it's about hazing. And he literally had to act like a dog punished by Nano, the character in Girl From Nowhere. And when I saw him, it was such a raw fucking performance. My jaw was on the floor. I was so uncomfortable. I was like really, my skin was crawling, okay? And I was like, okay, this is like, he's a top tier actor. In my opinion, he's one of the best actors that Thailand has to offer. I'm really not kidding. And I just love him. I'm gonna be honest, I think I am so glad that certain actors in Thailand don't need to necessarily be huge, be famous, be brand ambassadors, have events, etc. to actually be considered successful actors. I think he actually is an actor that people call because they know he's gonna fucking deliver every time, and I love that for him. So it's just very pleasant. I really do love this actor. Every time he shows up, I know he's gonna eat, and he did eat in this. We're gonna talk about it in a moment. Then we have director Somsak. So Somsak is the director of The Hospital, and he's very a little bit like a mystery during the show, but he's suspecting Gun, and he also is having like a kind of a secret gay affair with Boss. That's all okay, spoiler alert, Boss kills him. So Boss is a character that is a little bit like, he kind of shows up a little bit later than all the other characters in the show, and he's kind of like, we already immediately see that he thinks of Dr. Gunn as his idol, and then we see that he's having an affair with director Somsak, but he also is someone who is clearly very troubled. He is someone who his father or stepfather was also someone incapacitated in palliative care, but this guy, even though he was incapacitated, he would beat his mother, and so Boss developed kind of a really poor idea of people who are handicapped or in palliative care for other health reasons, because he thinks of them as like not useful to society, and as burdens on their family. And so he is pro euthanasia, but he is developed as the opposite of Dr. Gunn, even though they both believe in euthanasia, where Boss will kill someone he judges to be useless with no care, even if it hurts them, with no consent at all, whereas Dr. Gunn is set up as someone who actually asks for consent and is very respectful and does it with no pain to the patients. So he is kind of like, at the same time, he is a little bit of a copy of Dr. Gunn, but on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, if you will. And then we have the last character that kind of really matters in this. We have Rin, who is the one who does the, I always forget, how is it called? When you like search the bodies once they're dead. Oh fuck, I forgot. Anyways, and she is a little bit of a weird character. At first I didn't really know why they were setting her up like this. I was like, what's really her point? She's a little bit creepy, she's a little bit like off-putting, and I love her. She's kind of like, yeah, I love her. She's kind of the only second like female character in this, and I honestly, I was stunning her when she's starting, like, at some point, when we're kind of starting to realize, oh, she might be a bad guy, which she's not really. We realize that she starts, like, whistling into her tone, like, na, 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 like this. And I was like, oh my god, let's go. Like, this is villain core. Like, this is a villain thing to its core. Like, every movie has to have the villain, like, either whistle or sing under his breath. And I was all in. I love this girlie. I'm not ashamed to say it. So these are all the characters. Then we have the cast and acting. So the cast and acting, I've already talked, I think, quite a bit about it. I think, honestly, this cast was really perfect. I didn't see any bad performance in this. And I think, this is a show that is a mini-series, only 8 episodes. And it has a relatively very small cast, actually, and very few characters. And that's honestly for the best, because there wouldn't be enough time to develop all the characters if there were more. Like, already I feel like, again, we're going to talk about that, but I feel like this show kind of left me, in French we say, ça m'a laissé sur ma faim, meaning it left me on my hunger, meaning like I didn't eat enough. Like, it didn't satiate me. And I feel like this show, that was how I felt about it. But in my opinion, this cast was perfect. Honestly, I really want another Thor and JJ show. I need another show. I really like this pairing. I really like them. But we're not at the pairing yet. But all that to say that I think the cast was honestly really perfect. Everything worked so well together. And the acting, of course, was 10 out of 10. There was not any bad note to me. Like, everyone did a great job. I really have nothing but, like, flowers to throw to them. Like, they really did amazing. Now to the writing. I think, honestly, the writing is really good. I think, again, it subverts expectations. The fact that we kind of know who has been doing these killings, or at least has been doing some of the killings. That's where the nuance of the show is. We know that Dr. Gunn from the get-go is shady, is doing some euthanasia. We know it, and it makes us kind of be like, oh my god, are we really rooting for this couple when we know that he likely killed the mother of Wasan? But we still root for them. That's what being a BL girly means. You're gonna root for for a guy and his mother's murderer any day. But yeah, I think the writing really made it interesting. So one of the details that I do want to talk about is that I actually started reading the original novel from Salmon that inspired this show. And I started reading it, and I didn't end up finishing it. Maybe I'll finish it one day. To be honest, the translation was really, really bad. And I'm kind of a writing, like, elitist. I need the writing to be quite good, or else I will be bored. And the translation was not so good. I think translating from Thai novels to, like, English must be so hard. I think Thai novels have, like, such different codes. I mean, Thai in itself is such, like, a different language from English that, yeah, I didn't love the translation. So yeah, but I read kind of quite a bit of the novel, and I realized that, oh, like, the novel is extremely different from the show. Like, extremely. In the novel, we have, first of all, we have Chu and Gun get together pretty quickly, and there is nothing indicating that we should be suspicious as the readers of Dr. Gunn. So it's a lot more of a, like, usual play where, as I said, usually when these kinds of stories happen, you have the couple fall in love, and only then, like, at the very end, like, it will be revealed that one of them, like, did something bad, to the other. And so here in the novel, it plays like that. But in the show, they chose to switch it. They chose to make us realize from the get-go that Dr. Gunn is doing some shady shit. And I do think I actually prefer what the show did on that one. Now, I do think that the show did one thing a little bit confusing, and I do believe I know why. It's the relationship between Tew and Gunn. Now, again, as I said, in the novel, they get together pretty quickly, they have sex pretty quickly, and you're like, okay, it's clear, okay? But in the show, it's a little bit confusing. We have, of course, Gunn pursuing Tew slowly opening his heart to him, and then suddenly we have Tew coming to live with Gunn, but they're not really together. We've never really seen any kind of intimacy between them. We haven't seen them kiss. We haven't seen them like even hug. So it's a little bit weird. And it's not that this couple doesn't have chemistry, they're not believable to be together. I don't think that's the issue. I think maybe because it's Tort and Apop who hasn't really done a lot of queer works, and even Jailer has done a lot of queer works, but I think maybe it was more on Thor's side. I don't think Jailer has a problem kissing guys on screen, personally. But I think they didn't want to have more than one kiss scene. And what a kiss scene that was. Anyways, but I think they didn't want to have more than one kiss scene, so they were kind of like, okay, so we're gonna be a little bit like, yeah, it's not gonna be so clear. And I didn't love that, because the thing is, I mean, we could have gotten 2 kisses, or we could have just gotten the last one we got in the last episode. But the issue is that you can show that people are a couple in many other ways. Like, it doesn't have to be just kissing. And I think there was a little bit of intimacy lacking to kind of make us understand whether they're a couple or not. Or, if they were not a couple until their kiss in the last episode, you're kind of like, why did you move in randomly with Gunn? So there's a little bit of like things that don't make sense on that horizon, in my opinion. But apart from that, frankly, I think the story in itself is so good. The writing of the show is really solid. But in a way, because the show is so short, they kind of had to prioritize the actually murder mystery that Gunn is a part of, and also Tew is involved because he's a police officer, but not so much the love story. I think the writing is amazing on the murder mystery part, not so much on the relationship part. I think there are some things missing on that aspect, and I think that's why I want Jailer and Thor to have a new work together, where it might be a little bit more BL coded. Honestly, I don't really care. But I really would love to see this pairing again, because I was left on my hunger. I was left wanting more from this pairing, because I felt like it just wasn't developed enough. You know what I mean? Another issue I have is the end is a little bit... The end I've gone back and forth, to be honest. I don't know. The thing with this story, because we know that Tew is set up as a character who is, obviously he's a cop, so he loves following the law, and he's very like straight-faced, like he's very like straight, not in his sexuality, but in his way of living life, like, whereas Gunn obviously has been doing crimes, no matter how we feel about euthanasia, it's still illegal in Thailand, so he's been doing crimes. And he also euthanized Tew's mother without his consent, without him knowing anything, and he hid that for months. So obviously they cannot be together. So I don't really know how they could have ended the show another way. In a way, that ending is a little bit open-ended. We see like them driving where Gunn has handcuffs on his hands, and you're kind of like, okay, sure, like, let's go. But it's a little bit lackluster to me. I'm kind of like, but I don't know. The thing is, I'm a writer also. So usually I always, if I have criticism, I'm like, oh, they should have done this and that. Here, I don't really know what they could have done, because in a way, from the get-go, this relationship was doomed. And I think this is one also of the hard parts with the fact that we know that Dr. Gunn is kind of shady from the beginning, which was a choice for this show that was not in the original novel, is that it's kind of hard to root for this relationship from the get-go, because you know that Tew is gonna get his heart broken, that he's gonna realize the betrayal later on, one day or another. And so it's kind of also hard to get really attached to this pairing, because you're like, but you kind of killed his mom. Like, I know it was because she asked you, but you killed his mom. Like, if it was my mom, I would be pissed too. Even if she asked him, like, I would be like, bitch, what the fuck, you know? So I think this show is very interesting because it has a complicated plot. It has flawed characters. But honestly, it's one of the only shows I've ever watched that has left me a little bit speechless in the end. I was kind of like, I don't love the ending, but I don't really see how I would do better because the story in itself is kind of doomed. The plot of the show makes it so the pairing is doomed from the start. So I don't really know how I would have changed it to make it feel a little bit more satisfactory to me. If you guys have any ideas of how you would have written this show, please tell me. But for me, it's just like, this was something, I wanted more. There was something missing. I was kind of like, at the end I was like, oh, okay. Like, I wanted more. Now for the cinematography. So this is a show made by 131, which kind of feels like it. Like, it's a little bit basic. I do love the color grading. It kind of has this, kind of the same color grading as Manor of Death, for example, like very green and blue tones, which in my opinion, do fit like this kind of like murder mystery in the northern part of Thailand happening. But it's like, there's no shot that is truly incredible. Like, it's very much a made for TV series. There's no really huge like cinematographic vision, which is totally okay because as we're gonna see in this podcast, most of the time when I arrive at the cinematography part of a show, most of the shows, like most Thai dramas, don't really put in that much effort in cinematography, and I think it's normal. I think even if you ask me for like K-dramas, which do have like bigger productions behind them, even them, like they have beautiful locations, they are filmed beautifully, but for me cinematography is like original shots. Like, it's about originality much more than being pretty. I think most shows are pretty enough, but I need like something new. I need a new shot. I need the camera like swirling around or doing some crazy shit. You know what I mean? This is personally how I like, when I talk about cinematography, it's much more that aspect than just it being pretty. I think it's quite easy to have a pretty show. If you put pretty actors on a pretty background, like, it's gonna be pretty, but I'm gonna need like some vision from the director. And here there was not really any original vision for sure. Then we have the ships and chemistry. So here, ship, there's only one, and I think you guys know, I love this pairing. I really love this pairing. Again, I feel like there was kind of a lack of intimacy a little bit, but when there was intimacy, they ate that up. Like the scene in bed when they're like closing each other, like closing and opening their eyes and laughing together and then hugging. And then the kissing. Oh, don't get me talking about the kissing. I had chills, and I haven't had chills during a kiss scene for a long ass time, you guys. It was so good. So this ship, in my opinion, I want more of this. I genuinely like want to see them in kind of a rom-com, or it can be just like something like different, something like a Lacorn, even like give me a My Cherry Amour, but it's gay and it's Thor and JJ, and I would like fucking faint, bitch. Like, I love this pairing. I love them, and I think the chemistry, it didn't have that many moments to be able to be shown to us, but when it had the material to show us, it did show us. Oh my god, the chemistry was really good. Music, now the music here, to be honest, is very, very, like, I didn't notice it at all. There was not anything special about it. I think it's kind of the regular music that they use in the backgrounds of all 131 shows. So for me, not so good. And this is why, like, sometimes I feel a little bit like sad, because I feel like I just imagine like, oh my god, if Spare Me Your Mercy had been a GMMTV show, that we would have gotten a Tortana Pop and Jailer like soundtrack, and I would have eaten it up. Of course I would have. Though, in my opinion, I'm gonna say something super like mean, and I love Tortana Pop. I think he's a great actor. I don't think he's a great singer. In my opinion, he was by far the weakest one in 9x9. I've heard the lives. I've heard, even not on live, even in the songs, you can hear his vocals are not so good. I'm sorry, Tortana Pop, I love you, but I'm sorry, I had to say it. So maybe not a soundtrack, but I would have loved it, I feel like the music here was like just very unnoticeable and very forgettable. Now, the rewatchability. So, full transparency, I already rewatched this show. I rewatched it because on my first watch, when I finished episode 8, I felt so empty. I couldn't really formulate any thoughts about this show. I couldn't say anything. I was kind of like I wanted so much more, but I couldn't really say and put in words what I wanted more of the show. And so for me, the rewatchability of the show is very high. I think it's short. I love short shows. One thing about me, if a show is less than is 8 episodes or less, I'm gonna rewatch it a lot more than a show that is 12 episodes or more, for sure. So the rewatchability is quite high on this, although of course because it's a murder mystery a little bit, and once you kind of know the plot, there's a lot of it that is taken away. So I wouldn't rewatch it every year, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't mind rewatching it, especially if I had to show this show to someone else. It's definitely a show that I would rewatch again, especially for Tora JJ. As you know, I love this pairing, okay? And yeah, I think it does have some rewatchability factor, but it's not the highest. But it's high enough, I guess. And then you have the rating. How would I rate this show? So let's go on my official rating that I gave on my drama list. So on my drama list, its official rating from users is 8.2 out of 10, and my rating is 8 out of 10. When I finished it, I actually gave it an 8.5, and then thinking about it, I was kind of I don't think I can give it an 8.5. There is too much lacking in this show. There's so much more than I wanted from it that I can't give it an 8.5. And I really believe that this show should have been at least 10 episodes, if not 12, to be able to develop the relationship a lot more. I think the relationship was an important factor. And for me, I was quite surprised. And it's quite obvious that this show was not developed in the same way that Manner of Death or Triage were, which these two were developed as BL shows. So the romance is actually the most important part of the shows. And then of course there is the other storyline. So in Manner of Death is the murder mystery also storyline. And then in Triage, it's about the loops, the days coming on loop and trying to solve this problem. So because of that, it's definitely, although it's a show that was originally written, all these 3 shows are supposed to a little bit be a trilogy written by the same original author at the beginning, Spare Me Your Mercy feels very, very different. And you can see that it wasn't really developed as a BL show. It was developed as a murder mystery first. And then, yes, there is a queer story, but it's very much underdeveloped. And I think that is ultimately my issue. It's not that for me shows cannot have a main plot and then the subplot is the love story. But for me here it didn't work so much because those 2 plots are very intertwined, right? It's not like plot A, plot B that have kind of nothing to do with each other. It's 2 plots that are very, very intertwined. The main plot is reliant on the love story, and the love story is reliant on the main plot. So I think both should have been developed really as much as each other in order for it to be a successful story, but it was not really the case. So that's why I couldn't give it an 8.5, but I have to give it an 8, which is still very high grade. Next, how I would fix it. And that's the thing, as I said, I don't really know. For sure, I would have made it 12 episodes in my opinion, and I would have maybe put the seeds of doubt about Dr. Gunn a little bit more far apart, because by episode 2 we are all as viewers certain that Dr. Gunn is shady as fuck and has killed Chu's mother. And I think it would be a little bit more interesting if the love story developed a little bit more before we started to be 100% sure that it's Dr. Gunn that did that, so we could be a little bit more attached to the couple and be actually really heartbroken when we realize they cannot be together, instead of not being able to super be attached about them from the get-go because we kind of know they're doomed. So that's how I would do it. And for the ending, I really have no idea. I don't know, because for me, there's no way. There's no way that you could forgive Dr. Gunn, and what's done has been done. You know what I mean? So I understand both characters, but it's in the way that they cannot be together because of what happened and how they think, So I don't know. Or maybe I would have made a sequel or made an epilogue in a way where like we see Dr. Gunn getting out of jail like 10 years later or something, and we see Chu just waiting for him to drive him home, and you're like, oh my god, like, is he coming as a friend? Is he coming as a lover? Is he coming just to say goodbye for the last time? Like, we don't know. And it would like make it even more open-ended, but in a hopeful way, where you're like, oh, maybe there is like forgiveness down the line. But here, the ending it in the car, you're kind of like, I mean, it's still very open ending. We don't know if Chu really delivered Dr. Gunn to the police, but I wish like we would have gotten a little bit more, another like scene years later where there's a little bit of hope. In a way, this ends still very open ended. We're not really sure they're gonna get together or finish together, but there's a little bit more hope. That's how I would fix it, definitely. And then lastly, who would like this show? Now, who would like this show? I think, honestly, many people would like this show unless you're fucking homophobic. But I think this is a very easy show to follow, to like. It's very entertaining. It's short. It's easy. I honestly cannot really imagine who would dislike this show apart from people who like don't like murder mysteries or like are very heavily against euthanasia or are homophobic. So I think almost everyone will like this show. And to finish, I just wanted to say that I think one thing that I really appreciated about this show is that it made me think a lot about my own opinion on euthanasia. I think it is definitely a very taboo topic. It's a very difficult topic for many people to consider, to talk about, because it is about like ending a life, right? And it made me really realize that I've always been more pro euthanasia. I think that if it's something that is determined by the person themselves, it's totally like their choice to make. And I think if there is a way to die in a painless way when you are in pain on the daily, or you're gonna die very soon, I think it's totally fine. I don't think there is... I've always, in my opinion, like in all of my values, I have many of them, but in my values, it's always been about self-determination, about being able to make choices for yourself. And if I believe that like women can and should have the right to abort because it's their body and it's their life, then I do think in the same vein, people should have the right to decide when they pass away. Not in all the cases. I think it can be abused. I think it's hard. I think there can be cases of like euthanasia used for suicide when the person is completely healthy. But at the end of the day, I think it's a very complex topic. And I was actually really glad that this show really showed us many sides of the debate and kind of made me think about that. You know, I feel like you don't really think about euthanasia until it concerns you or your family members or someone close to you. But this show actually made me think about it, even though I am not really concerned at the moment. And it was very, very enlightening and interesting. I think it's always interesting to think about how you feel about the world, about things that exist in this world, about your values. So I think this show was, in that sense, definitely a success. I think it did what it set out to do. I just wished a little bit more of the romance, because I'm a romantic at heart. But yes, apart from that, I really enjoyed this show. I'm hoping for Thor and JJ pairing. I don't think I'll get it, but girl, it's good to hope. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.